missing it. Even though I told her you could just use crushed up saltines or crackers, but so she may or may not pop up in.
All right.
Hey guys.
So that is Lena.
How are you?
Cristino, Lena and Juliana, chef owners of Al Cristino, who are going to lead us through another cooking extravaganza. I see Juliana in the background there. Lena, just remember for you all, we're beginners. So
Go slower.
Treat us nicely and go slow.
Got it. Okay, then shall we wait 5 more minutes, or what do you think?
Let's give it. Yeah, let's give it. It's only 4:04, so let's give it about 5 more minutes, and then we'll go from there. We have one question. If you're making this for, how many eggs do you use per, like, are people going to need a dozen eggs, or are they going to need like 3 eggs?
Okay, so you're right. So it all depends on, because usually all recipes, when you read recipes, they're built for 4 people. And whether you look it up on Google or any website, they're always built for 4 people. What you want to do is think about just denominations. If you're gonna cook for 2 people, use half of what is prescribed for and ingredients that take 4 parts. So let's say you're cooking today for 2 people, you're gonna have 2 chicken breasts. Within 2 chicken breasts, you can use 3 eggs and maybe 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of breadcrumbs. We try to not overuse products because we also don't want to waste products. It's always better to add than to put too much and then you're overwhelmed and then you just throw away food. And so I always say, right now, if you're cooking for 2 people, you would need about 3 eggs. If you're cooking for 4 people, I would say you use about 6 eggs, and so on and so forth.
Fabulous.
And flour, you can always adjust. Breadcrumbs, you can always adjust. And if you have eggplants, if you're doing the vegetarian version today, I always say use 2 eggplants. Always, you know, eggplant varies in sizes. So you can have an eggplant like this, or one that's a little bit more of a, you know, robust. Yeah. I always say it's better to start with 2 eggplants and then assort your adjustment to whatever casserole you have. So like I'm going to put it in a deep dish baking sheet. If you're doing eggplant parmigiano. If you're doing chicken parmigiano, you just need a flat baking sheet to place the chicken parmigiano on top.
Is that because the eggplant will get juicier, and if you used a cookie sheet, you'd get juices all over?
You want eggplant parmigiano to be a layered casserole dish.
Okay.
So that's why you need more of a deep dish if you're doing eggplant. But if you want to go crazy, and you can also layer with 1 layer of chicken, eggplant on top, and then another layer of chicken if you like. You can make a whole chicken parmigiano sandwich if you want to. With like an eggplant on top.
Could you layer the chicken and the eggplant in 1 casserole?
Yes, of course.
Ooh, sign us up and my shop.
Because what you're doing, you have to remember the finishing process is being oven baked. So that means that it's already being pre-cooked because we have to fry these, each of these objects. So we have to fry eggplant and we have to fry the chicken. So they're essentially all cooked, but not thoroughly all the way. So what you do is layer chicken, then eggplant on top with the cheese and tomato sauce. And then if you want it to be crazy, put another chicken on top. You can do it that way too. But we're gonna do them. We're gonna do them separately because they're basically the same process. But we always like to create one vegetarian dish and one carnivorous dish.
I have a question. We have 2 people with egg allergies.
Okay.
Is there a substitute for I mean, we usually just do oil and breading or lemon juice and breading, but is there another thing you recommend?
You can use melted butter.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Yes, no problem.
What was that answer, Lena?
Melted butter,
Ah, okay.
because you're gonna want something to help fry. So you either use, there's a lot of certain ways, if you look it up online, substitutes to egg. But let's say all you have in your fridge is butter, just melt it down.
Can I ask if I have panko breadcrumbs, is that okay?
Yes, it's gonna have a different texture.
Okay.
It just has a different, it has more of a Asian style texture to it, where it's like kind of like a popcorn chicken.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, I mean that's good too. I mean it just differentiates the texture.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. We should get moving and get started. I know that Will Mitchell from First Savings, who is our lender sponsor of the day. Oh, there he is. He is ready to cook as well. So thank you, everybody. So once again, for those of you who just joined us, Lena and Juliana from Al Cristina will be leading us through a chicken parmigiano and eggplant parmigiano, and she just put the ante up and said we could actually layer the chicken and the eggplant and make an eggplant chicken casserole combo as well. Thank you, Will and Tanya, Will from First Savings, for sponsoring this with us. Everybody, hopefully you enjoy. Lena will be, if we could all try to keep our computers muted, unless you have a question, then certainly unmute and ask. But since we're all going to be cooking and making noise, let's try to keep things muted. But jump in if you have questions and stop Lena. And then she'll be checking in periodically as well for some thumbs up. So those of you who don't have your video on, you might want to turn it on. So that we can see you, or so that Lena can ask thumbs up, at least at that point in time. All right, with all of that said, let's get moving. Lena, take it away.
Okay, everybody. So let's take out our ingredients. Let's prepare ourselves so like this we don't always have to go back in and back into the fridge. You want your eggplants. At the least 2, depending on how many you make it, just multiply it by 2 more if you have a bigger party and a larger deep dish baking dish, which is, I have here, I have a small one, but it's nice and deep. It's at least about 4 inches deep. Take out your flour, put it in a mixing bowl if you have, or you can put it on the plate. Take out your eggs. 5 eggs. Just take out at least a dozen, but you're not going to use all of them. Salt and pepper. Your frying oil, canola oil, avocado oil, anything that is high temperature, not olive oil. Because of the smoking point and the burning point, you want a frying oil.
Between avocado oil and canola oil, what's better? I mean,
and if you prefer using avocado oil, but because avocado oil is always served in those smaller, like maybe 16-ounce containers, you're gonna need quite an amount of oil to fry everything. So I usually use canola oil because it's always served, or it's always delivered in a huge 1-gallon container.
okay.
It just depends what makes more sense to you economically or flavor-wise.
Cool.
Take out your mozzarella. Your mozzarella, most of the time we use, when you make chicken parmigiano, eggplant parmigiano, you want to use a shredded type of mozzarella. You can also use fresh mozzarella, but just remember that if you don't like a watery consistency, don't use fresh mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella adds water to your dish just because it exudes out after being cooked. Take out your tomato sauce. Now, I obviously have a big kitchen, so I can put all these things in front of me. If you, and then the breadcrumbs. If, let's say, you don't always have to buy breadcrumbs. What we usually do, we use our own bread. We use either a blender or a food processor. We oven bake bread, let it dry out a little bit. We blend it, put fresh herbs, so you never have to really buy it. Let's say you're about to have bread, like a baguette, and you say, you know what, I don't want this for a sandwich, but it's still good. Oven bake it, blend it. You have fresh breadcrumbs. Add some Italian seasoning, boom, and it keeps. It does not go bad. All right. So what we're first going to do, are we okay to move to the next process after everybody grab their ingredients? Thumbs up. All right, awesome. Let me just switch pages. Okay. All right.
Then we go to cut the eggplant.
All right. So is cutting the eggplants.
Yes, you want it.
Sorry, for some reason my microphone became unmuted. Can everybody hear me? Thumbs up. Okay. Io devo. Fatela. Cut the ends off your eggplant. So you're going to cut off the end and the front of the eggplant. Okay? So it should look like this. If you do a combination of chicken eggplant parmigiano, remember, always do vegetables before you ever do a meat product. So you never contaminate your vegetables with your meat. Now you're gonna wanna slice the eggplant in a 1/4 of an inch. Okay?
Come ci sta passato grande.
So 1/4 of an inch, slice, and if you want measurement, always use your finger to measure. But keep it down, don't obviously keep it up, because if you ever slice yourself, you slice your nail, never your fingertip. Okay, well, my mom does this. If people are using only chicken, take out your chicken breast and let me show you how to butterfly the chicken, because you don't want to use the whole breast. That is, it will be too thick of a chicken parmigiano. So, while she does that, and obviously you saw that it was a 1/4 of an inch thick, try to cut it in the same size. I'm gonna take my chicken breast. See, it's nice and fat. So you don't really want to make chicken parmigiano with this piece, unless you pound it to oblivion, but you don't. And plus, it also saves on food costs. If you butterfly from here, the chicken, you have 2 chicken pieces, and your food can go further. You can supply food for a bigger party. Let's say your kids bring over someone that you unexpectedly didn't know that were coming to dinner. Now you have more pieces of chicken. So let me go grab a deboning knife. A deboning knife is usually used for meats because it slices right through. And this is deboning knife. Some people don't like fat or bristle, and that's okay. But for intents purposes, I'm going to take it out. So with a deboning knife, it's pretty easy. Just slice through a little bit. Most breast meat comes with the meat of the bones, which would look like this. Just lay it flat. Never do this side. Always do the fatter side. Turn it around. Pound it out a little bit. And I'm just gonna go right in the middle. Yeah, can you come on this side?
This side.
Mm-hmm. So I just, everybody can see a little bit better. And you're just gonna butterfly it.
That is
So then it becomes like this. Pound it out a little bit. Cut it in the middle. Now you have 2 chicken breasts. Okay. Now, if you want, you can, if this is too thick for you still, just pound it out a little bit. Get a tenderizer, pound it. I like to use my fist because I'm old school. That's how my grandmother taught me. Pound it out. You can use a tenderizer, but if you use a tenderizer, make sure that underneath you have clear wrap, and over the top you have clear wrap. Because if you use a metal tenderizer, it is going to break up the meat. So that's why it's always clear wrap on the bottom, clear wrap on the top. But because I already butterflied the chicken, that 1 chicken breast, it's already thin enough that I could just like pound it out with my fist, you know? Also, I hate making more things dirty. That's a lot of dishes that I'm not going to do. All right. I'm gonna go wash my hands. Okay, so everybody that wants to do eggplant should have sliced their eggplants. Everybody that wanted to do their chicken should have sliced their chicken. Now they both have the same process. The only difference between the eggplant parmigiano and a chicken parmigiano is that the eggplant doesn't have breadcrumbs, but it's the same process. Let's first get a kind of a deep dish pot, something nice and wide, because this is where you're gonna put the oil. You never want to overcrowd your food. So everybody grab a nice big pot. Nice and wide, a little bit deep. And add your canola or avocado oil to it.
No comments. That is very important. Yes.
So I filled it about an inch of the way. So it comes up to a quarter of my fingertip. You kind of want to cover your food with the oil, but not over the top. Just enough for it to cover at least half of your chicken and half of your eggplant. Turn on your flame to high.
You have to prepare the eggs.
I know it. So once we do that, I'm gonna wait for everybody. Is everybody okay with the next step? Everybody has oil? Yeah? I'm gonna do the eggplant first.
How deep is the again, Lena?
Yes.
How deep is the oil again?
Huh?
How deep is the oil?
The oil should be just about an inch deep.
Susie, are you laughing at me?
Yeah. You should get out and
Just an inch deep. That's why I'm saying like you have to use a lot of oil for this process.
Can I ask,
but about an inch deep.
am I supposed to already have the oven on?
You can have the oven on now, but it's gonna take a while. But you can turn on the oven. It's gonna take about 10 minutes to preheat, but by then we'll be 15 minutes in.
Well, what's
Turn on the oven to 375 degrees.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So let me start with the eggplant. So the process of the eggplant, now we need our flour and our eggs. So I'm going to put a total of 5 eggs because I'm going to be making a triple layered eggplant parmigiano. And then whatever I have left over, I might add some more because I'm gonna have to show you the chicken. So if you're using 2 eggplants, use about 4 eggs. If you are using 6 eggplants, use about 7.
Solid.
So I put my 5 eggs in a mixing bowl. I have my flour in my mixing bowl. I'm gonna add salt and pepper to my eggs. And just use a pinch because we're gonna be salting the eggplant. We're gonna be salting the chicken. So use a pinch of salt and pepper in your eggs because salt and pepper goes on everything. Whisk it. You don't have a whisk, use a fork. But for everybody that's watching, you need eggs, flour, and breadcrumbs for the chicken. You just need flour and eggs for the eggplant. And if you have the allergy to the eggs, use melted butter. Okay, pretty good. All right. Take your eggplants.
About how much flour?
I would say you always start with at least 2 cups of flour. Just add on if you need more. Depending on what recipe you're making, I always say use 2 cups of flour and then add more so you're not wasting all your flour. Because now that's apparently a precious commodity. Everybody's oil should be hot by now. Turn it to medium. Turn it a little bit low because now you don't want to burn your oil. What is it? All right. Someone get a baking sheet, or you can take paper towels. So for after things that are, or plates with paper towel on it or anything, so that after we fry our eggplants and or our chicken, we place it on a flat sheet so it can absorb the oil outtake.
Are we supposed to use the same frying pan for the oven? Like if I have a skillet, like a...
I always say if you start with eggplant, always cook with eggplant. You can use the same frying oil for chicken, but always use chicken last.
Okay, but for the oven part, are we supposed to have, can we use the same? I have like a, what are they called? A Dutch, not a Dutch oven, a skillet. What are they called? The kind that are oven ready as well. So can I fry it and then stick it in the oven in the same pan, or no?
If you want to, yes, but make sure that you wipe it down.
Okay.
Because it's gonna have remnants of burnt aftermaths of your eggplant or your chicken.
Okay.
And you don't want that flavor. So if you do, make sure that you put whatever your skillet that you fried on, put it apart, like I said, on like a baking sheet with a paper towel on it so it can absorb the oils.
Okay. Okay.
Wipe down your skillet because it's gonna have the burnt aftermaths of the breadcrumbs or the flour. So the eggplant, you start with flour. Just douse it very lightly, doesn't need to be thick, very lightly. You coat it in the flour. Should like this, just like powdered sugar almost.
Tutti ci sono non andare con l'uovo vicino a casa. Tutti quelli che tornano a letto.
So now I'm about to douse it in egg. Very lightly, just shred it. Done. And now place it in the oil, which should be hot by now, and on medium heat. Okay.
Devi studiare che si sente.
Let it cook for about a minute on one side. Wash my hands while that's cooking for 1 minute. It shouldn't burn if it's on medium heat. You want to see this color, kind of like a golden brown. flip it over so it can cook on the other side. Always flip over the ones that you first placed in the pan. They will be the first ones to be cooked, then go accordingly. Leave it to cook for another minute.
Sorry, for the chicken, it's egg, flour, then breadcrumbs, right?
Yes, and I will show that as well.
Okay, sorry, I'm
Oh,
impatient.
no, it's cool. It's the same process. You just do flour first, like we just did,
Yeah.
egg, then breadcrumb, and then you can put it in the frying oil.
Flour first, okay.
Flour first, then egg,
Okay,
then breadcrumbs.
got it, thanks.
Yep. So I'm just gonna flip it one more time. I like a nice, good color. I'm gonna wait 1 more minute. And then I'm gonna transfer these to a baking sheet that has, well, I use parchment paper to absorb the oil. Or you can use paper towels, or you can just wipe it down with a cloth so it's not as oily. All right, taking my eggplant out. Putting it on my baking sheet. And now we're gonna do this several times over until you finish all your eggplants. The ones that are resting, put a little salt on them. And I'm going to use a pinch of salt. Now we're finishing doing the second batch because you have to remember if you're doing eggplant, it's layered. So you're gonna need quite a few depending on your baking dish. Now, if we're doing chicken, let me grab my chicken, salt the chicken, add a little salt and pepper. If you didn't do that, that's okay because you can always do it at the end because it doesn't matter what stage of cooking you put it in. I'm going to pass it through flour first, egg first, then breadcrumbs. Flour first. Coated. Let me grab my egg batter. Let me cut. Pass it through your egg, and then pass it through your breadcrumbs. And put it in the oil, the same as we did the eggplant. Just the only difference is chicken parmigiano has breadcrumbs. So now I have to use more eggs for my chicken because the eggplant took most of my eggs preparation. And that's okay, you can always add. Chicken, my eggs, slightly dry it. Okay, now let me get my breadcrumbs. My homemade breadcrumbs. Say you're not using your hamburger buns or your hot dog buns, your baguettes. Before they become too unedible, put them in the oven. Takes you 30 minutes to make your own fresh breadcrumbs. Put some Italian seasoning in it. If you want, you can put fresh herbs, whatever you want to do. And it doesn't go bad. And make sure you refrigerate it.
How long do we cook the chicken on each side?
Until golden brown, because the finishing process is always in the oven, so it always will cook through. You need about 3 minutes on one side, 3 minutes on the other side. So for people that are doing the eggplant or the combo version, use a deep dish baking pan. If you are making only chicken parmigiano, use a flat baking sheet. We're only using the deep dish for the eggplant or the combo of the chicken eggplant parmigiano because it needs to be layered.
Oh, you mean in the oven? We should use a bake. If we're only doing the chicken, for the oven step, we have to use a baking dish, not a oven ready skillet or whatever.
If your skillet can go in the oven, you can use a ready skillet for chicken parmigiano. That is not a problem.
Cool.
Yep, that's not a problem.
When we're frying, should the heat be on medium still?
Yes, yes, yes. We only use high volume only to wait for the oil to boil, to get to almost a boiling point. Then we turn it down medium, so then it can kind of rest at the boiling point without burning.
Cool.
Yep. So I'm going to put my chicken. So everybody can have that has the chicken. Just put it in your hot oil. 3 minutes on one side and 3 minutes on the other side. Until you see it's nice and golden. I don't know if people have done the same lessons before, but my heat is a little bit higher because it's a kitchen grade stovetop. So it runs a little bit faster than most. But for me, it takes 3 minutes, but until you see it nice and golden brown, it should be done for you too. So while I was doing the chicken, my mom is finishing all the eggplant slices, which are now being set on the sheet in order to absorb the excess oil. Don't forget to add salt to the new eggplant that you added. See, nice still golden brown. Now I'm about to turn it on this side, turn it over. Am I going too fast or is everybody okay? Everybody's good? Okay. And remember, with leftovers, this is gonna be great. Let's say you have some leftover eggplant parmigiano. Put it in a sub with some spinach, with a little extra tomato sauce. You have a vegetarian sandwich. If you want to add, if you have chicken parmigiano and you don't want to just eat chicken parmigiano, put it in a sub as well. Add spinach, just so it has a different texture, different flavor. You can put some balsamic glaze on top for different flavor profile. If you want a little bit sweeter this time instead of savory. So my chicken is done. Nice and golden brown.
No, dry. You're gonna make it into a paste down there.
I'm gonna take it out. Okay, now we have the same process. Take out your deep dish for your eggplant or your combo, or take out a flat baking sheet, or if you have that the skillet, as long as it's as long as it's oven approved, you're fine. Just that's not a problem. Just clean it out so you don't have the excess breadcrumbs or flour or egg, so it doesn't burn your dish at the end.
Slow down, we didn't get the chicken part.
Can you slow down?
Excuse me?
Can you slow down a little bit? We are just finishing the eggplant and haven't gotten to the chicken.
No problem. I know the eggplant takes a little bit longer because it slices, and if you don't have a big pan, it takes time to like do all of them. That's very understandable. Take your time. The
Thank
chicken
you.
is a lot faster because it's just, you know, it's just one chicken breast. Take your time.
Well, we're frying everything. Can I ask you a question about the risotto?
Yes.
So we tried making the risotto on our own,
Yeah.
which was way easier to do with your guidance, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
At the end, we couldn't remember what temperature we were supposed to be cooking it on. Was it medium or high? At the very end.
At the very end, on high.
On high. Okay.
On high. And remember, if because we always pre-cooked the risotto, remember? So it is set, so it still has a little bit of al dente. In order for us to finish all of our products in between there, all of our ingredients, at the end, turn it on high, put the risotto in, and if it's not as creamy or as al dente you want, you add just a touch of water, but put it on high and keep stirring with the Parmigiano at the end. So it becomes nice and creamy.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
How long does the chicken go on for?
The chicken only until it browns. So it takes about 3 minutes on one side, 3 minutes on the other side. So that's 6 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And so this is what I mean by, let's say you were using the skillet. So you see all the kind of the breadcrumbs from the chicken. You wouldn't want to use this oil. You would have to take this oil out, clean the pan, so you don't have any burnt remnants in your skillet.
Are we gonna stick is it gonna bake in the tomato sauce?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So there should be no oil on the skillet, right?
Nope. No oil. That's why I said clear it all out. Yep.
Cool.
And wipe it down. Mm-hmm. No oil.
Everybody can see.
And when you guys are ready, you let me know with a thumbs up, and as long as all of us are there, we'll get there together. And the only thing that you need next is your flat baking sheet or your deep dish for your eggplant parmigiano or your combo. And then you need your tomato sauce and mozzarella and salt and pepper. And everybody's oven should be nice and warm. At 375.
So from while people are finishing up, from your perspective, what are some of your favorite like pasta sauces that you can buy from the store?
I don't buy it from the store.
I know.
It has too many preservatives. If you guys want to do a cooking class so you can learn how to make fresh tomato sauce.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
The only problem with making tomato sauce, it takes about 3 hours.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
And you would need a food meal and fresh tomatoes, and then first you would have to blanch tomatoes, then peel the skin, pass it through a food mill. It takes some time for the water to evaporate from tomatoes because they are very high content of a water fruit. So that's why it takes about 3 hours. But if you'd like to learn other sauces like piccata sauce, the lemon butter caper sauce, we can teach you those. The masala sauce.
Yeah.
A white wine sauce. We could teach you how to reduce seafood remnants to make a fish stock.
I'm hungry, as you're saying. Okay, I have another question for you. So now my kitchen smells like canola oil. Do you have any tips to get rid of food smells? Like, do you use lemon juice? I don't know. Like different people have different
I use lemon juice to get the smell of fish out of my hands or garlic. I usually don't try to mask because like when the smell of cooking food already makes you hungry. You don't want to eliminate those flavors, but let's say you cook bacon in the house and you want to get rid of bacon. Just put a little container of baking soda out so it kind of absorbs those kind of smells.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or like some people put bacon in the microwave. Then after you take it out of the microwave, put baking soda in a cup in the microwave. Don't turn it on, obviously, but in order for it to absorb the smell.
Smart.
And then if onion always makes you cry, make sure you have a candle in front of you.
Okay. See, these are good tips.
Candle, the wax of the candle and the flame helps you not to cry so much from an onion. And also the sharper your knife is, the less juices spurt out from cutting an onion.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, because it usually, like when you cut an onion, the juices spurt out, believe it or not, and it makes you want to cry. But the sharper your knife is, the better it is. And you just have a candle in front of you and you won't cry ever again.
I feel like I've learned a lot.
No, that's awesome. That's I'm doing okay then.
You're doing awesome.
Thanks. Has everybody caught up? If yes, put a thumbs up and we can proceed to the next. Okay, let me see.
We're still finishing chicken because we have half vegetarians and half meat eaters in our house.
Got it.
I have my mom.
See, what I like about this recipe is that it's the same, but for a meat dish and a vegetarian dish, the only difference is the breadcrumbs.
I missed. Did you want us to salt the chicken once we fried it, like we did the eggplant, or no?
It depends. How salty is your tomato sauce? If you always add like a salt to your tomato sauce, then add a little bit of salt after we add tomato sauce on top of the chicken.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Summer, you have to move, my love. Come on, Summer.
That's 5 more minutes. Everybody have a glass of wine or a nice juice box?
Oh, I'm on that.
Juice can also be fermented juice, whatever you want.
Happy hour at the Wild Tomato. 3 to 5. Okay. You may take it. I'm going to the same spot. Oh, down to 2 pieces. Wow. Oh, they are gorgeous. I don't know what you did to them, but they're beautiful. Have that touch, huh?
How many more do you have, Mama?
Huh?
How many more do you have?
2.
I don't know whose chicken or whatever is gorgeous. Mine are not as nice, so now I'm feeling inferior.
Where do you see?
No, I heard you guys talking about how beautiful or how gorgeous your meal was. I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Ooh, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Yeah, mine doesn't look like that, but it tastes pretty good.
It's going to take so much more. And you remember that half of the cooking is also done in the oven. So don't be worried. Everything is
That over here is my problem.
okay. I'm going to start with the next step, which is the eggplant.
There's one more piece here for you, Mom. Are we done with that? This last piece? I can get rid of the egg.
Or the eggplant or your combo.
Gorgeous.
Make tomato sauce. Make 1 layer of tomato sauce so your eggplant doesn't burn.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear the lady that has the Las Vegas shirt on, I think, but I can't hear you.
I think it's Moira. Oh no, they just put it on mute. Thank you guys.
Oh, okay. So you take tomato sauce. You make 1 layer of tomato sauce on your deep dish just to cover it. Okay, you can shake it about a little bit. You don't need a lot. Just make sure that it's covered. 1 thin layer. And for your eggplant, add the biggest ones that you have on the first layer. This was pretty big. So,
Lena, you're kind of breaking up.
excuse me?
There, that was better. You're kind of breaking up on your volume.
Am I? Okay. Can you hear me?
When you get up closer, we can hear you better than when you are further away.
Okay. So I'll just turn off my vent fan. My vent fan is very loud. Okay. So you have that one thin layer of tomato sauce on your pan. Okay, just have one thin layer of tomato sauce on your deep dish pan for your eggplant parmigiano. Place the biggest eggplant that you have as your first layer, so it's a better base. Can you hear me? Thumbs up? Okay, awesome. So don't layer on top of each other, layer next to each other, like that, and so forth. If you want, put it in the middle, because you see there's like a little gaps. Use those, the smallest ones that you have, you know, those end ones that you're like, oh, that's so little. Use those little ones to fill in those gaps. And now what you want to do is put another layer of tomato sauce over the eggplant. And remember, not too much, just a thin layer. Just a thin layer. And shake it a little bit so it kind of evens it out. Put a little bit more, and then if you want to even it out without putting too much tomato sauce, because you don't want too much, grab a spoon. Okay. Or I'm going to use my ladle, and I'm just going to kind of circle over it just to spread it around. So it doesn't look super covered because you don't want it to be super covered. Because you don't want everything to be soggy. And now you add your mozzarella. And the reason why I said it's better to use shredded mozzarella because it doesn't add a water content to your dish. And just do one layer. You don't have to do it super thick. Because you have to remember we're gonna do multiple layers of this, so it's still gonna be cheesy no matter what. Okay, that's good. Now we top it with another layer. Use the biggest first, again. For whatever missing edge you have, like I have this little piece right here, where I want to cover up. That's great. I have that little piece that I want to cover up too. Just tuck it in there. On the side.
We're
Cover
doing
it up.
eggplant chicken combo. Would we add chicken now instead of eggplant?
Excuse me?
If we're doing the eggplant chicken combo, should we add chicken now instead of eggplant?
So now, when you did the two layers, if you started already, you would want to put the chicken in the middle because we're about to make another tower of eggplant. So if you want to put your chicken, put it right after we do this one very thing, which is the other process of now putting tomato sauce again. Okay, covering it with tomato sauce. Spread it out. So it's covered. And now you put your chicken if you want to.
If you're just doing the eggplant, leave it like that. Okay? So now you would put your chicken, and now you would put your tomato sauce, and at the end you would put more Parmesan. So now I'm putting shredded mozzarella on the eggplants. And everybody that's continuing with the eggplant Parmesan recipe, now you layer it again with eggplant. So eggplant, so first we started tomato sauce so it doesn't burn on the bottom. Eggplant, tomato sauce, mozzarella. And this step, if you wanted the chicken, you put the chicken here. Okay? And now, then on top, you put the tomato sauce. Spread it over a little bit so it's all nice and coated. Now I'm just going to use a little bit more tomato sauce because I've reached a 3-layered eggplant parmigiano. And so when you finish the third layer, or your last layer, put the tomato sauce that's nice and covered. And now you add your mozzarella again. And this is why I say you don't really need too much salt, because all of this has salt content. And on the finishing layer, you want to put a nice amount of cheese. At least cover most of the tomato sauce. So you have a nice browning, a nice crispy layer. Okay. So it will look like that. Finish it with a little olive oil on top, just to help it caramelize a little bit. And you put it inside the oven. But everybody that's just doing chicken, so your chicken fillet, I didn't touch it yet, but it's the same process.
Okay.
The difference is you don't put it on the bottom because it's not going to burn. You just put tomato sauce on top of the chicken.
Oh.
Only if you're using it as a combo.
If we put it on top of the tomato sauce already, I assume that's okay.
That's perfectly fine. It's not going to do anything to it. Nope. So cover it, and I put tomato sauce. I put mozzarella.
And I don't think,
A little olive oil, just to brown, and you put it in the oven. The chicken doesn't take as much time because it's not a layered deep dish. Deep dish. Yeah, that's redundant. But so if everybody's it's already been preheating for about more than 20 minutes. It should be at 375. Start with 10 minutes timer. Mine is a convection oven, so that means mine has a fan, so it's gonna cook a lot faster. After you set your timer for your 10 minutes, just look in the oven, see if the cheese is browning. Soon as the cheese starts browning, it's done. You don't even have to cut the chicken to figure out if the chicken is cooked or if the eggplant's cooked, because pretty much most of the process has already been done. And while you wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on how your oven works, make your side dish. For me, chicken parmigiano already is a heavy meal for me, so I always love
to eat it with a lemon olive oil dressing salad, something citrus to kind of cut the hearty flavors of the cheese and the tomato sauce and the chicken. And that's why usually in Italy, we never pair things with potatoes. We mostly paired meat dishes with salad in order to counterbalance the heaviness of the main show. If you want steamed vegetables, make some steamed vegetables now. Saute some green beans and garlic and olive oil.
Excuse me?
Yes.
When you put the stuff in the oven, should you cover it with anything?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. The less foil you use on your dishes, the better it is, because the foil doesn't really, it's not really good for food. Just put it on the top layer or the bottom layer, or just keep it in the oven longer until it reaches that browning for the cheese that you like.
No.
And if you don't want a side dish, this is actually the perfect time to clean your dishes while the food is getting cooked. All your side plates, put them in the dishwasher, everything, so it's nice and clean. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Do you top it off with Parmesan cheese?
Yes. Yes. Just remember the process, always flour first, egg is second. For eggplant parmigiano, if it's for chicken, it's flour first, egg second, breadcrumbs third. And then always the finishing process, if you do an eggplant parmigiano, always put tomato sauce, a thin layer on the bottom of the deep dish baking dish so it doesn't burn. You put the eggplant, you put tomato sauce, and then you put the mozzarella, and then you do it again. Eggplant, tomato sauce, cheese. Eggplant, tomato sauce, cheese.
Hey,
The
Lena,
chicken, yeah.
excuse me, I'm sorry. I missed the tip on how to get the oil smell out of the kitchen after you fry.
For the oil, if the oil burned a little bit, that would be hard to get out. I would just turn on your vent fan from the microwave, but that would be a little bit harder to get out. If you like, you could just peel some lemons or oranges just to absorb, and put it next to a baking soda.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tom, that's when you come in, or Will, and you say, you contact Will, you take out a HELOC, and you get a new kitchen. Just kidding.
You know, what's your favorite thing to cook?
Mine is always seafood. Seafood is my, I love to cook lobster. I love seafood pasta or cioppino, seafood stew. I like making lobster reduction sauce, baking whole fish, like salt encrusted fish. Salt encrusted is very popular in Europe and also in the Balkans. Salt encrusted is heavy grosso salt. I could say it's sea salt, but it's a different version of salt. It's very big particles of salt that you have to cover the fish with and a mixture of egg, breadcrumbs, salt, and you basically make it a shell over your fish. And when you oven bake it, you have to crack the sea salt off of it, but it helps to hold the moisture of any fish inside so it doesn't dry out. Because sometimes like grouper can become dry because it's a very meaty fish. So it helps keep the moisture in. I really like doing that. And steaks, I like steaks.
Excuse me,
I'm
how
a steak seafood kind of gal.
long are we cooking this for?
Until you see the mozzarella browning. Some people like it just to be melted, you know. But if you have little pockets of brown on top, it's done. Some people like their cheese to be extra crispy and brown. Cook it until then. If you're not that kind of person, well, then you can just wait until the cheese is nice and melted, and you can take it out because it's all cooked through.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Let me follow. So my chicken is done because the chicken is going to take a little faster. So I have a little bit of browning, which I like, but I don't like it too brown. So this is my perfect flavor or my perfect chicken parmigiano for myself. That's my personal thing. If you like more bubbles to be a little bit burnt, keep it in the oven a little bit longer. Okay, and now I'm looking at my eggplant. I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes. It's still browning a little bit, but I want it to brown just a little bit more for my eggplants. Just because I have to think that it's also a 3-layer cheese. When we're doing the chicken parmigiano, it's only 1 layer of cheese. The good thing that this is not baking, so you can always open the oven and look at what you're making. Yep. Okay, let me look at my eggplants. Put my buzzer on. All right. That's my eggplant. Now, like I said, mine will cook faster because it's a convection oven. This is the browning, browning you want on your eggplant parmigiano. If you like more, do it more. If not, this is pretty much nice and spotted, so it's good. It's done. Let it rest for a while. Eggplant parmigiano.
I can't wait for your restaurant to be.
Sorry, say that again?
I want to come have fish there. I want to have the salt and crust fish.
Ah.
I can't wait for the restaurant to open again. And
fish. Oh, that would be awesome. Or otherwise, we could do a lesson on that.
Oh,
I just have to figure out if you would be able to find the kind of salt I'm talking about or something similar in the store. So I guess you can always make it for your friends because it's kind of one of those show stoppers. Like let's say you bring a salt encrusted fish to the table, you crack it open, you take off the salt crust, which is about this thick, you take it off, then you start to fillet the fish. It's a whole show stopper. So you probably would want to learn it for, like, let's say, a dinner party. And also, it's always a good it's always a good lesson or skill to know how to fillet a fish. So again, this is my eggplant parmesan. This is my chicken parmigiano. Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Touch some of my bare hands. It's fine. And then this is the eggplant. A spotted browning on the cheese. But you have to let the eggplant rest at least 15 minutes after you take it out of the oven. Otherwise, it will break apart more easily. If your main course is a chicken tonight, bon appetito. Enjoy your chicken with a nice salad or sauteed vegetables. If you're still waiting on your eggplants, we'll give you a toast and drink to within 15 minutes. You can have a delicious dinner as well.
Thank you so much, Lena.
Hopefully everybody had hopefully everybody is having a ton of fun cooking. It's been a challenge with my cooking mate that I picked for this time.
No.
So
I survived Tom, just so you guys know. I survived it.
For the person who would love to go have salt encrusted fish at the restaurant is open with limited seating, so you can go. And it is at 1906 9th Street here in DC, Northwest. And let us know how your dishes turn out today as well, please. And we will see you again for cooking in about a month.
It was fun. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. But also, everybody, post a picture of your dish at the end, Plate it nice,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you want to learn how to make your foods,
Thank you.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Awesome job. Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
ciao, thank you.
Bon appetito.
Thank you.
Can I leave?
Don't leave. Just wait until we get Uncle Tommy. Get to Uncle Tommy.
Hey, Sean,
Uncle Tommy left?
Sean, did you get a
Yeah.
picture
Anybody have any questions
of the Zoom screen with a whole bunch of people on it?
Did I get a what?
Did you get a picture of the Zoom screen by chance?
I mean, I didn't take a picture of anything, but this is all recorded. So I can definitely take a picture after this too. If we lost some people.
All right, see if you can find everybody on and send it to me, because then I was going to post it online.
Okay, cool, definitely.
And tag Alex Castino. Okay.
Bye, Uncle Tommy.
Bye, Uncle Tommy. We love you.
Have fun.
Bye, Candace.
Good to see you guys.
Tanya, turning out.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, Sean. Bye.
Bye.
Love the haircuts, guys.
I survived. I should get a t-shirt.